Friday Night Lights, episode 2. Get your drink. All right, so last week was great. We really enjoyed all the comments, all the response on the divorce topic. And you all just emphasized the fact that you all enjoy these kind of videos. And so we have set it in stone. This is going to be a thing. We're going to continue to do it. We look forward to it every week. So if you're new, Friday Night Lights are when we take outside of our farming life and we talk about the hard topics in life and talk about some of the stuff that maybe isn't as openly discussed. Some of the things that we kind of hold inside of us and don't let out. So we're here for you to talk that out and get it out in the opening, and know that you're not alone. Know that it will connect to someone, and that you can get through it. So we're gonna have a slew of topics, and jumping right in, episode 2, this one right here, is around the village. Yeah. So what we mean by the village is family. So family is such a core component to everyone's life, right? Everyone, no matter what you do. Homesteading, farming, not do any of that at all. Family is a very important part. Sometimes family can, I don't want to use the term hold us back, but we have a responsibility we feel with our family. And that sticks to us.
So if you followed us for a while, or if you're brand new, we're going to tell you that we used to live on a compound with family, and it was mostly his family. And then my family lived right down the road, like a quarter of a mile. So they were right there. And we all had each other every single day. It wasn't just family, it was friends too that turned into family, but it was more like a community. And we set that up to be that way. And it was great. We lived that way for about 5 years.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. We didn't all have the same homesteading goals in mind, the same farming goals. It was mainly just us living that lifestyle, and they supported it, but they weren't really involved in that. We all just kind of lived like our own separate lives, but lived it together, and we're always together. And a lot of people, I think, have asked the question, you know, when you have that kind of setup, it seems perfect because a lot of people...
It's the dream.
Yeah, they strive for that. I mean, what better way to live than to live on a compound with your family and your friends and have a community and a village to support you right there. So there was a lot of questions about, you know, why we left that, how, did we regret it, do we miss it, stuff like that. So that's kind of the topic that will lead us into that, and then talk to you about that. And if you're in that same position, or if you're wanting something like that, or if you're trying to get away from it.
Yeah, and so we give you a little backstory. And if you're not a homesteader or farmer, this still will relate. Yes. So hang with us.
It's just about the village. It doesn't matter what you're doing.
Right. So go back real quick, 7 years, because it was about 7 years when this really all started off. My dad pitched an idea to us on building a pole barn on their property, which was my great-grandfather's property, and it just kept going down. We, at the time, you know, really no money. Young marriage, 1 child, Wyatt at the time. It was a cat. It sounded great. It was fantastic, and we looked really forward to that. So we started the process. Long story short, we ended up, my work shipped us to North Carolina for a year, and we thrived. We thrived in North Carolina. We were making better money, but we were still struggling because North Carolina's expensive.
Yeah.
And then we felt this urge to come home, a responsibility to come home to our family for our children. We wanted our children to be with their grandparents and as close as they could be, because that's what we remembered. We had remembered being with our grandparents, those stories that we could tell, and we felt obligated to come home, which was also to fulfill our dream of building this pole barn and this homestead that we had always thought of. So we come back home, we live it out for 5 years, and then my dad dies. So I feel like we have emphasized that the move was centered around my dad passing away. That definitely was the kicker. That definitely put the cup filleth over. Yeah. However, I feel like it was building up to that. You know, the part of, in 5 years, the only people that you're really hanging out with is your family, and you're getting along and you're doing things together, but that's all you're doing together. Eventually, it almost got to a point to where we were sitting in a circle around a fire, and it's like, do all of us really like each other?
Right.
You know, like
Or are we just forced to be here?
right, like are we just doing this because we're all together, or do we really all want to be here?
Yeah.
And it was no negative towards anybody in that circle.
Well, here's the thing about when you make your village your family, or your community your family, you start to not step outside of those lines, and you find yourself not making friends or going out and meeting people because you feel like you have all you need right there. And when you feel that way, you don't venture out. You don't step outside your comfort zone because you're comfortable right there. And I think that was a lot of our problem. We didn't step outside the box because we had our friends and family right there. So why branch out and try to meet people?
Yeah, we thought we had all we needed in front of our face. So we have this internal building of not anger, but more of questioning as it's building up to this 5 years. My dad passes away, and then it's like, okay, now we have like finance piece like coming into play. So then it was like, all right, this is an easy decision. We need to move. So ours was kind of like pushed on the family, but it still took us collectively making the decision. Right? Like it wasn't just ours. So like when we sold, my mom owned all the property. Like when she sold, like all of it was to her. Like we didn't get anything out of that. But we didn't want to leave her hanging.
Right.
So when we decided that we wanted to move, like we had to get our house ready to present for like her people to find, like look at our house for sale. And so that was a whole thing, and it went really well. My mom found a home. We obviously found a home, and then her mom moved too.
Yeah.
Because we were no longer less than a quarter of a mile away from them. It's like, wow, we're still here. We want more too. So now we're all in different areas. Like what we used to first know as home is no longer there. Like we are all out. My mom's about 2 hours away from us. Her mom's about an hour away from us. But we still stay in touch. And actually, it's better.
It is. When you give yourself the opportunity to go outside the boundaries and keep your family close, but also step outside the box and meet other people and build a new community that doesn't always have to be centered around obligations. That feels like a negative word, but it's, you know, it's kind of the way it is. Obligations and necessity and just family bonds, then you're able to be so much more. You're able to blossom really. And I think that's where we want to talk to you about, because so many people have decided to move and sell their properties, purchase new properties, and started a homestead or farm. But even if you aren't doing that, a lot of people are deciding to move away from their family and their village that they've always known. We've had a lot of messages about people reaching out and saying, you know, how'd you do it? How did you leave your family? Or how did you tell your kids that they're not going to live next to their grandparents and stuff like that? And the biggest thing that I think I would try to get through to y'all is don't feel guilt about it. If you decide to move, or if you feel called by God or led to move and go for something more, because we're always supposed to dream bigger, then do it. And at the end of the day, yes, you might feel like maybe you might rip your children from their grandparents or rip them from their family or the community, but it's not true.
That's not what's happening.
It's not what's happening. You might feel that way and you might feel that guilt, but that's the devil talking.
Yeah. And so what we're trying to get at is, you feel this guilt of leaving your mom or leaving your grandma or leaving your grandpa that you've known so long, and you feel like you're going to break their heart if you leave, or disappoint them if you're not close. But y'all, think of, if you have children, think about what you want from them. What do you want them to do? You want them to shine. You want them to grow, and you want them to be as big as God will possibly want them to be. And what that means is, sometimes we have to step back, right? As parents, like we have to step away and let our children shine. That's all your family wants you to do as well. They want you to shine. My grandparents, Mama and Papa Stivers, because I know you're watching, they gave us the best phone call I think that I've ever received when we moved here.
Yeah.
They said, we miss you all like crazy, but we are so proud of you all. We're so proud of what you've become, what you're doing, and what you're fulfilling your dreams. And it just, that like solidified everything that we did. And it's like, thank you. Thank you for seeing that. I can't appreciate you more. And I guarantee you, every single person that's sitting there with that in their mind That's what your grandparents will give you as well, what your parents will give you, siblings, spouses, cousins. Maybe not spouses. You should probably take a spouse with you. Everything else but the spouse. But that's what they're all going to miss you terribly. But the missing part is the good part. Because then when we're reunited together and we have laughter that we haven't heard in a while, right? Like straight from the gut, like just belly laughing, enjoyment, because we do miss each other. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the miss is what we're missing, right? Because we're always together. So we need that separation a little bit to actually appreciate each other. So as you're sitting there and you're like, man, I have this big decision in front of me. My spouse, my children, we all want to go. We know this opportunity is sitting in front of us, but we don't know how to tell our family. This is what they're gonna tell you. I miss you like crazy, but I am so proud of you. And that's what you need to keep remembering while you're faced with these hard decisions. God's got you. He's got your back. He's gonna do the best thing for you, and he's gonna present the opportunities to you. It's up to you to make the decision. God's not gonna make it for you. Right. So you have got to conquer that fear of your disappointing family, because you're not going to disappoint them. They're going to be so proud of you, but they will miss you.
So how does it work out? Well, we're here to show you. We are 7 months into a new home. Like he said, our parents are spaced out, but we're still close enough to see each other. We're close enough to FaceTime, and we still have very close relationships. Honestly, closer, I think, now than they were ever before. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. That's a saying that everyone always says, and it is so true.
So true.
Our kids are fine. Kids are so resilient. They're going to be just fine. All that matters really, and all that they need, is their mommy and daddy and your family to be together. They just need to feel at home when the day is over. Yes, they'll miss them. They'll mention them. When they're older, they might have questions, but they will know that it was for the better. And you'll show them that by your actions, and how much happier and better and how much more you will thrive in your new place. Just let the guilt go. Let it go. It's hard to get stuck in that place, and I've talked to a lot of people. But we are here to tell you that it does get better. You start to let go of that, and you realize that you're better off, and it's just a better situation all around. Yeah,
and you start appreciating it, right? Mm-hmm. So like you say, kids are resilient. Our kids got a major upgrade. Yeah. They went from an off-grid home to having a whole second floor that is basically the kids' area. And flushing toilets, yeah. And if you didn't know, we did not have flushing toilets in the previous life.
Not because we were poor, it was because we chose to. I've seen a few comments about that. My goodness.
Completely our choice. We wanted to
and
live.
And the kids were fine.
Yeah, they were great. But anyways, what I'm getting to is, you think they'll miss their grandparents, but what they really appreciate is the core of their family. And that cannot go unsaid enough. Like, the importance is you, your spouse. If you have a spouse, if you're single, that's fine as well. But your kids, you and your kids are what is the most important. So your all's value of life and health of life and positive look of life is all that matters. Quit worrying about so much of the family if it is deterring all those aspects. If your kids are not happy, if you're not happy, then the core of your family is not happy. So that's what you need to always think about. That's what's most important, and your family will back you. Yeah. Whether it seems like they will or not, they got your back.
If they don't, it's even more reason to move away from that situation.
Yeah, that's been like one of my biggest things that I've had to realize is like, because my family is large, like real large. And I love that. And then, like, I grew up knowing this large family, but I've also now realized that it's okay if I don't make everyone happy. Right. Like, because as long as my wife and my kids are happy, and, basically our mothers. Yeah. Right. Basically our mothers, that's all I truly die for. Like, that's where my heart.
If they know that they're happy and we're happy and that we love them and appreciate them, then all is fine.
Right, because once you start getting to extended family, we love them from an extended family aspect, but ultimately our friends are probably closer than they are, right? So we need to keep that in mind. We're not here to please our family. We're here to make sure our core family is tight. So real quick, before we wrap this bad boy up, y'all have caught some sniffles. So we the sniffling Stivers today.
I promise I'm not high. People say that all the
They call
time.
her-
Every time I get the sniffles, people are like, "Oh my gosh, do you smoke weed?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, I don't. Not ever."
We're not knocking it if you do, but we just
We
don't.
don't.
And everybody does. She has so many comments about,
I
wow,
talk
she's high.
slower when I'm sick. Okay,
And the eyes get a little bit
Yeah.
more squinty.
a little floaty.
So, real
I'm not
quick.
saying I'm not on Dayquil. I'm just saying I didn't smoke weed.
So, real fast, we moved even just 2 hours south. Like the pollen and the allergies, we've always had them, but man, the tree pollen gets you every time. However, it hasn't gotten us down, and that's why we
No.
push elderberry syrup and fire cider so much. Because those are immune boosters that like help us get through these kind of scenarios.
We feel fine. We sound terrible.
Yeah, you just got the runnies. But I hope you all enjoyed this second episode of Friday Night Lights. We are going to continue to do these hot topics that are out there. Again, reach out if what was on this video wasn't enough. We're happy to try to answer some more questions or just have your back, right? Like have your back, walk you through it, talk you through it from our experiences. We'll never start throwing things out that we've never been through. We always wanted to be something that we related to and how we got through it together as a couple, and how you can as well. So we love you all very much. We appreciate you all. Remember, the village was always the dream, but the village doesn't have to be the dream.
Right.
You can succeed and do great things on your own with your spouse, with your kids, and a tight-knit community. You don't always need everybody.
That's exactly right. So right.
We love y'all.
We love y'all. Till the next one.
Dayquil. Subscribe if you haven't.
Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.